Hello everyone, how's it going? This is Alpha Core HD Gaming, and here we are for round number 8 of this F1 2016 McLaren Ultimate Career Mode. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, if you're new to the channel, then please be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content. And if you do enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like on it. It does really help me out when you guys do that. So we're in Azerbaijan for round number 8, and if you haven't seen any of the previous rounds, then please do go back and watch them before we go any further. I don't want to spoil this race for you. I don't want to spoil anything that's gone on previously in the other races. So if you haven't seen them already, then go and watch them now. But we're in Azerbaijan, and we've brought us a couple of upgrades because in Canada we didn't do too well. We finished a little bit down the order. I think it was 7th or something. But we didn't have the best race. It was a little bit scruffy. But as you can see there by the vehicle performance comparison, we're currently still the 4th best team. So we're a little bit behind Red Bull still, and obviously Mercedes and Ferrari are quite a way ahead. But because we're in Azerbaijan, we've actually brought some engine upgrades and things like that. So we've brought an engine upgrade and a drag reduction upgrade. So we've got a little bit more engine power, a little bit less drag. Bearing in mind that the Azerbaijan Street Circuit, the Grand Prix of Europe this year on the F1 2016 game, has the longest straight on the calendar by quite some way. The track itself is quite long as well. So in qualifying, if you're running at full tilt, you're in season 1, you're looking at around about 1 minute. At the low 1 minute 40s for a lap time, so the lap is over 1 minute 40 long, so it's a very long lap. But the thing about this circuit is you can't just rely on the straights. You can't rely on having low downforce and having high top end speed and getting good lap time from that, because the middle of the track and a lot of the track is high downforce, so you've got to balance it. You can't just put all your eggs in one basket and have a quick car on the straights, otherwise you're going to have a slow lap time, because you might be pretty quick down that straight, but through the middle of the lap then you're going to struggle a little bit. So this is practice 1. We've brought our upgrades obviously, and this is, I'm not sure what this is. I think this might just be us running for a few laps on some soft tyres, because we're not actually doing a test at the moment. It looks like we're just trying to get used to the track. And the thing about this track as well is I hadn't raced this track very much before, obviously, because it was first introduced onto the game. Was it F1 2015? I think it was introduced. So I didn't really race on F1 2015. So this is really the first time that I've actually played on this track. In general, this is the first time I've really played on it. So this is the track acclimatization program. It took me a while to get used to it, but I can say now this is probably one of the most satisfying tracks to drive on. When you put a lap together on it, it just takes there's so many different corners to it and different parts of the track, but once you get a good lap together, it's really satisfying. So you can see we're doing the track acclimatization. Obviously we're aiming to get purples as many times as possible. It is quite a punishing track, and it was described as like a really fast version of Monaco, which is a little bit true, but I think there's one corner particularly, the one towards coming past the castle, where it's probably the most difficult corner. I think it's a lot tighter than Monaco. I think the chances of hitting the wall on this track around that corner are a lot higher than Monaco. I can't think of a corner in Monaco where I would really be worried about hitting the wall, whereas that corner there we've just gone through, where for some reason the acclimatization gate where you go through it is in the completely wrong place. It's on the right against the barrier, which means that if you try and go for it, your chances of hitting the barrier are very high, whereas if you take the proper racing line, then you miss the gate altogether, which is just completely stupid. But you can see we've managed to get purple on every other corner, so we're going to hit a really good target score. Apart from that one red one, we've got another green one there. But through this final section as well, if you get a little bit of understeer, if you don't turn in quick enough, I mean, you're talking about 200 miles an hour there, then you can hit the outside wall or the inside wall there as well. So that's the only two walls that really worry me on this track. But the one by the castle is really kind of, if you hit that, well, you've got a very good chance of hitting it if you get it slightly wrong. Whereas in Monaco, I think it's a little bit more forgiving, to be honest, which is I never thought I'd be saying about Monaco, but the Azerbaijan track is a really good track. It's a really good track since I've been practicing on it. I really do find it satisfying to drive around. And you see that practice 1, we did our track acclimatization, and we got 1 minute 43 on the soft tyres, and we finished about 7th or something. This is us getting all our points. You can see we passed 3 out of 5 team objectives there in the first session. So on to practice 2. And we're going for tyre management now. And I think this was one thing that we struggled on, because for some, not for some reason, basically down the back straight, you can see you're running for so long in a straight line that the tyres are just wearing themselves out, even in a straight line. So we managed a couple of purple laps in this practice, and I do go back and do this later on. You can see we've got a lot of greens, a couple of purples, and another green. So it wasn't good enough to get purple. So, and we weren't even pushing that hard. You can see we're doing 1:46s, so it wasn't like we were actually just pushing really hard. And then we go into the qualifying pace program. So this is the one where we're trying to get the fastest qualifying time we can. And you see the first lap we went round, and we got 11th place or something, 9th place, sorry. And then we went round again, and we got 7th place in that qualifying program, which was good enough for purple. Which again, you can see that the tyre wear wasn't very high, but on the tyre program it seemed to be high, even though round of qualifying lap we didn't lose much performance over the 2 laps. So 8th place in qualifying practice 2, 1:42.711, half a second off Daniel Ricciardo, who did a 1:42.199. Fernando a little bit back there on the soft tyres. But even with our engine upgrades, we're still a little bit down on Mercedes and Ferrari. They've still got a little bit more engine power than us, a little bit less drag. So it has helped us a bit, but we're still a little bit down on power. So you can see here, I went round again to do the tyre wear program, and I did it in the intermediate conditions, because earlier in the season, I think it might have been China, where we went out on the intermediates in the wet weather, and we got through with a load of purple laps. So I thought, let's see if this works in the intermediate conditions around Azerbaijan. Let's see what happens here. And you can see we're hitting purple laps, which is going to get us a really good score. The track is starting to dry out at this point, but we're getting purple laps. So there you go, 150 out of 150, which is just, it's the best you can get anyway. So that's a perfect score for that one. And we kept going round in the wet just to see how fast we could go. We're now like kind of teetering around. I think we've backed off completely now. So we're just going across to the wet. So we were 1.4 off Lewis, who went out a little bit later in the session. Let's say it was drying out a bit, so he got a 1:55.4. Is that a penalty I saw there? There was a penalty flashing up for someone ahead of us. Fernando obviously finished ahead of us because he went out when it was getting a little bit drier as well. So here is our agent telling us what our session goal is. And we're going to have to qualify 7th or higher. We have to beat Carlos Sainz and beat Fernando. I think the Toro Rossos may have brought some upgrades in the last couple of races as well. So the Toro Rossos are actually really piling on the upgrade pace in this season. They're actually trying to keep up with us in McLaren. So they are quite strong. But I think that we've got a little bit too much for them around this track. I think the car we've got the car pretty much set up perfectly to where we want it for the type of track it is. It's finding some good acceleration off the corners onto that main straight was one of the main things, because we had to keep the it was to do with tyre pressures mainly. We had to keep the tyre pressures at a certain level, that the tyre pressure of the car would make sure that the rolling resistance we had going down the straight wasn't too high. But also you can't have, in terms of, it's complicated, but in terms of tyre pressures, if you go low, you're going to get a load of responsiveness and quick turning. But if you go too low, then you're going to lose straight line speed, and also you're going to lose grip through longer corners. And there is a few of those corners in this track. So we've gone as low as we can on tyre pressure, but also as high enough to keep the rolling resistance on the straight down, so that we get good straight line speed, but also good responsiveness in the corners. So that a lot of this was down to tyre pressure. So you can see on the here, I'm showing you the setup of the car for this track. Obviously, this is very much for this car that we've got this season, based on the upgrades we've got as well. So it might not work perfectly for you on your career mode, but it's likely to help a little bit. But obviously, we've had upgrades to the car, so at this point in the season, this is the setup that works really well with this car around this track. You see, we're actually following. Is that Hamilton just ahead of us? So we're following Hamilton, who seems to be on an out lap or maybe on a hot lap, but he seems to be going pretty average speed at the moment, and I think he's on a warm-up lap. So coming around this final sector, Sorry, this is the second sector we're coming around. That's the other corner there, back there. If you get a bit of understeer, you can end up smashing into that wall on the right. And getting a really good exit off this corner is important. We didn't get the best one there. We kind of snapped a little bit of oversteer as we come onto the straight. You've got to just flick the car through these corners. You've got to flick it left and right, and then try and not lose as much. Try and keep as much speed as possible going down the straight. It's a really long straight. You can see the DRS opens. We're doing 345, 350 kilometers an hour. So we're still a little bit down because I think the Mercedes and a couple of others with the Mercedes engine are doing 360 kph, which is obviously a little bit faster than us. So we tried to go around twice just to see if we could get a little bit of quicker time, but we did a 1 minute 42.5, which is good enough to get through. Fernando with a 1 minute 42.033, which is only a 10th off Rosberg. But sometimes in qualifying one, I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what Fernando's doing, like if he's getting slipstream from someone on the final part of the lap. But he always seems to put in a quick lap in the first two parts of qualifying, then qualifying 3 kind of goes off the boil a little bit. So I don't know if he's kind of getting an advantage from following another car there. Because if you're following a car down that main straight, you can get at least half a second easily. So a little bit of a lock-up there means that we had to pit in after our first lap in Q2. And did we go out for another lap? So yeah, so we've already put in a 142.3, so we decided to go out again on another set of tyres. This is the ones we used for Q3 maybe, I'm not sure what's going on, but anyway, we've gone out again to try and improve, because obviously we're only in 9th place at the moment. You can see we're nearly 2.5 tenths up on this lap. We've managed to nail that first sector a little bit better than we did last time, and this middle sector is absolutely awesome. So you're getting all the way down to second gear, you're trying to get the power on early, and then flick it to the right for this corner, and again you're trying to get the power on early whilst going down a little short straight there. This corner you want to get right into the left hand side, but we lock up a bit and go too far to the right, so we end up having to cut back a bit of that corner, so a little bit of a corner cut. But at the minute we're on a 1 minute 42.3 and we're 3 tenths up on that, so it's going to be looking about a 1 minute 42. And we lose the back end a little bit and clip the wall, so it's not the tidiest of laps. It's a little bit messy this lap. We managed to nail that sector, so it's a little bit better through there. So we've lost time and then gained time, so it's been a bit of a messy lap. It's not the best lap we've ever done. See that, really close to that barrier on the right hand side. If we'd locked up any more, we would have been in the barrier and lost the front right and just been out of this session. So heading down the main straight, it's all now just about the power of the engine. We're picking up a very distant tow from that car ahead, maybe a little bit of slipstream, but we're still losing time, as you can see, down this straight. We're heading towards the finish line. It's going to be just over 1 minute 42, I think, so a 1 minute 42.080, which puts us up to 5th place, and we've just jumped ahead of Fernando a little bit. So we're through by about 4 tenths. The cut-off was 1 minute 42.4. Felipe's been knocked out. Kimi Raikkonen fastest in that session with Sebastian Vettel. So the Ferrari's going pretty well, followed by Mercedes and then followed by McLaren. And there's the Toro Rosso. So like I said, Kvyat up there. So we've lost Massa, Hülkenberg, Sainz, Bottas, Grosjean and Wehrlein from that session. So Q3, and it's time for us to kind of just nail together our perfect lap and do a little bit better than we've done so far in this qualifying, because we haven't put together a proper lap yet. So it's time to put that together right now. So heading down this second straight into this left-hander, flicking it in, just minding to not hit that barrier on the left and also not run too wide to the right. And get the car turned into this corner and then on the power as early as you can. A little bit of a back end there stepping out on us. Again, we're trying to get down to 3rd gear and not run wide around this corner. A lot better than last time, and we nail that other corner as well. Staying in 3rd gear gets you better traction off that corner, so you'll see we gained some time here. We're actually only 2 tenths off Lewis Hamilton. And then just flick it left for the castle section. Really close to barrier on the right, and then you want to flick it left and get... See, we lost a little bit of time coming out that corner there. We didn't get the best exit. So Hamilton's done a 1 minute 17.6 for these first 2 sectors, and we're aiming to get very close to that all the way down to third gear through the second of these second last corner of this section, and there's the last corner of this section, sorry, and we're only 0.016 off Hamilton there, so we're very, very close to his time. Flicking it left and right through the corners and onto the final straight, just waiting for DRS to be enabled as we come down this main straight now to DRS sub, and Hamilton's at a 1 minute 41.527. We're sticking to the right, and we've done a 1 minute 41.739, which is 2/10 off Hamilton. So we lost pretty much all of that time in the final straight. So the engine power and the drag and just the whole package that Mercedes have got has allowed them to pull away by 2/10 in that final sector.
So that just leaves the race itself. Join us tomorrow, where we'll be live with all the action. And until then, it's goodbye.
So that put us in second place. I think Fernando was in fourth there, but Hamilton was on pole. We were second. You see, that's all our resource points, so we did quite well in that session. Obviously, Carlos Sainz went out in qualifying too, so we're easily going to out-qualify him here. Nearly 7/10 quicker than him. And obviously, qualifying there, we finished 7th or higher. We beat Fernando Alonso again.
Hey, how are you? I have some information on the race goals you should keep in mind.
And our race goals now are to finish 5th or higher, place higher in the race than Carlos Sainz, and beat Fernando Alonso. I think Sainz is going to be stronger in the race than he has been in qualifying, because he has got a decent package. So is Fernando. I can see those guys finishing in quite decent positions at the end of this race.
Who would have imagined in those pioneering days of motor racing just how far
and
wide
the pictures, the backdrop, the scenery of this track is absolutely immense. Just the way, on the seafront, all the old buildings, and the fact that you get to drive around the old city of Baku, it's such a nice track. But it's also a very technical track, and it's a really great track to drive. In terms of overtaking, it's not too good because of that big long straight. I don't really like the fact that you can just fly past someone. The straight itself could have done with I don't know. It's too long, I think. I don't know how they could have made it better, but the straight is very, very long, and it makes overtaking a little bit too easy. Obviously, the 2017 race, because of the safety cars and all the stuff that went on in the race, it was really exciting. People were able to overtake very easily, but I think it's a little bit too easy to overtake on this track. And the AI are a little bit glitchy, and they don't like to. They do. I think the problem with the AI on this track is that when you go down the straights, unless they have DRS, they sit behind you, and then when they get DRS, they kind of just go flying past you. But on the straight, they kind of. If you don't have the DRS, it kind of is quite hard if you're against a high-powered car. You'll see that in this race a little bit further on, but no, it's the only part about this track I don't like is the fact that the straight's so long and it's so easy to overtake. If they're going to have the straight that long, they should just take DRS out of the equation for it, because it would make the overtaking, even though the straight's so long, it would make the overtaking a lot more interesting if they had DRS taken out of it and made people have to overtake in different spots. But that's another story. So this is the grid, and you can see we're down to Alonso and Kimi Raikkonen. Even though he was very quick in qualifying too, he's only in 10th place. I think it's because he got a penalty maybe. And the rest of the grid's been made up with Marcus Ericsson, Nasser, Julian Palmer, Harry Ann. So all the other guys you'd expect to be at the back, because their teams really haven't improved their cars throughout this season. You can see there in the backdrop there was the Caspian Sea. So we're lining up at the start of the race, and Hamilton's on our right, and we've got Rosberg just behind us. They're waiting for these lights to come on now. There's 4 and there's 5, and they are going to go out very soon. We get a very, very good start. We get a good launch. Hamilton's still on our right though, so we can't really do much. And he kind of squeezes onto the curb on the inside. He holds the outside line and keeps the position in turn 1, so we couldn't make it stick. We were kind of squeezed. If we tried to go to the right, we'd have made contact with Hamilton, and it possibly could have let everyone else, all the people behind us, squeeze through. So first corner we ended up having to cede the position to Hamilton and let him take it. You can see the line of traffic as we come down the second sort of long straight and into the middle sector of the lap. Hamilton pulled out a little bit of gap already. You can see Rosberg just behind us with Ricciardo, I think that is, and then a Force India. So although we were pretty quick in qualifying, Mercedes still has a decent package obviously in the race, so I do expect Mercedes to kind of have an easy time in this race, because it is kind of a power track. All the work we've done to get the speed in the middle of the lap, they still do have quite a lot of speed on the straight line. Same with Force India, same with anyone who's got a Mercedes engine. And later on in the race you'll see that we come up against the Mercedes engine quite a few times, and it is really it's just the comparison between our McLaren Honda and the Mercedes is quite shocking, to be honest. So coming into the final sector now, we've got Rosberg all over the back of us, but because he hasn't got DRS, it's going to be pretty difficult for him to get past down this straight at this point, because as soon as you pull out of the slipstream, if you haven't got DRS, then you kind of hit a wall, so your speed kind of goes away. So we're coming down to the main straight now, and there's Rosberg having a look, and he's got the Red Bull having a look as well. But you can see, although he's got the speed, he kind of does back off a little bit, because he just hasn't. As soon as he comes out of our toe, he loses some speed. So this battle continues a little bit, and Hamilton's still in the lead. We go to the left to cover Rosberg off. He's alongside us at the moment, but again, as soon as he pulls out to try and get this, he loses speed. So if you took DRS out of this race, then there you go, Ricciardo trying to sneak up the inside, ends up getting squeezed and hits the wall, which causes a safety car. You can see that Ricciardo just smacked his front wing off there, and I think he's caused a pile-up in that corner. Safety car is out then. But yeah, as soon as you pull out the slipstream of the car in front, if you haven't got DRS, then you lose speed, which would make the racing a lot more interesting. It would make him have to make a pass on a different part of the track. So just behind the safety car for a couple of laps. Just a nice shot of us coming up past the castle there. See the safety car board is there with the SC. Just heading down the main straight, and currently well off the delta for a fastest lap, about 18 seconds down, obviously behind the safety car. I think we roll around behind the safety car for a few laps, so you can see that one of the Toro Rossos has crept up into third place at this point. I think Rosberg's pitted after that contact that he had with the Red Bull. So at the minute we've got a few cars out of position by the look of it that have pitted in, and because we had a few guys pitted in, so safety car is coming in, and we're going to try and attack Hamilton, but obviously it doesn't give you the control of the car until Hamilton's gone practically. So now we've been given control, and by that time we can't accelerate. I think the safety car starts, that could be another thing for the F1 2017 game, to have them as manual starts, but I don't know if they're going to do that. But manual control behind the safety car would be amazing. You'd be able to choose when to actually go and restart your race. So knowing that we've got Kvyat behind us, we need to start pulling out a little bit of a gap from this pack, build ourselves a little bit of a buffer, and try and keep with Hamilton as much as possible for the next few laps. You can see bits of front wing there that the marshals haven't cleared up from the Red Bull. So like I said, the Mercedes has got an all-round better package still, so I expect them to pull away a little bit. We are still only the fourth best car on the grid, so we are currently punching well above our weight to be in second place at this point. Is that a purple sector there for the first sector? That is. It's so long. The first sector is so, and there's a shot of how close you get to the barrier coming through this sector next to the castle. But the first sector is so long, you don't realise until you've reached the end of it how many corners you've actually done before you post the time. So we're getting very close to the walls, and yeah, the power, even the power of that, I think it's a Renault engine the Toro Rosso's got. Even the power of the Renault engine is still kind of equal to us. So even though we've introduced a few upgrades, the Renault engine is still quite powerful. Which means that the Toro Rosso can keep up with us a little bit. And we're not running particularly high downforce. I can't remember what it was, but I think we're only running like 6 wings, so it's not like we're running high downforce. You can see we're kind of trying to get out of his, trying to get him out of our slipstream by staying to the right. You can see because he hasn't got DRS yet that he's not able to pass us. So again, I'll say it again. I think that this track they should just remove the DRS from the main straight. I mean, fair enough, have the DRS on this short straight here, but from the main straight they should remove it and make people have to work for the overtakes a little bit more. So heading down this back straight, you can see we've got the legs on Kvyat at the minute. We're on lap number 7. Our best lap time so far is a 1:47.029. Our teammates sort of in the middle of a pack, just a little bit back from us. So I'm not sure what lap we're going to, but once we get to the next set of tyres, then we're going to know kind of better where we are. You see everyone's kind of bunched up because the main straight allows people to bunch up a little bit because of the especially when we're the car that's punching through the air, we're like kind of leading the pack, so they're kind of using all of our tow to keep up, and we're having to punch the hole into the air using all the power that we've got. So one more real corner to go, and then we're onto the main straight. We're actually 8 tenths up on that previous lap time, so even quicker than we were before. We're 2.4 seconds back on Hamilton. Swinging around the final few corners onto the straight, well, not really corners, it's just a kind of bending onto the straight. So we pulled out a little bit of a gap on Kvyat, who's now under attack from one of the Ferraris now. And I'm not sure if DRS has been enabled yet, so we'll see. Soon see if they flip their wings open. It doesn't look like they are, so I don't think DRS has been enabled yet. No, it hasn't, because you can see the the Ferrari making a move there on the inside of the. This is why I was using this camera here. So the Ferrari's making a move on the Toro Rosso, trying to squeeze around. He might get the move done. He's still there. They're still side by side for the next few corners. We'll see who managed to win that battle. There you go. There's a Ferrari nose cone just coming through the corner there, so I can see the Ferrari has made the move on the Toro Rosso. So we've got a Ferrari behind us now. So I'd expect him to be a little bit quicker than the Toro Rosso and put a little bit more pressure on us. You see Hamilton's not that far ahead. We're on to lap 8 now. And the engineer just informing us of the distance to the leading car of Hamilton. The soft tyres are starting to go away a little bit from us now. These super soft tyres. We're on lap number 10. We're about 8 tenths down on our best lap time. But Haryanto's now in third, so the Ferrari's made a stop. Now he's back up again. So maybe he didn't make a stop. Maybe the manner just was too quick for him in a straight line. I just love these front wing shots and things like that from when you're going for such a tight sector. So Raikkonen's currently in third place, about 3 seconds back. I think him and the Manor are just battling out because the Manor's got a lot of engine power, so it's able to keep up with him. So that was lap 12 or 13. There's Hamilton leaving the pits. We've got the Toro Rosso following us in, so that's Kvyat behind us. Heading into our pit box for another set of super softs. So there's Sainz. He's one of our championship rivals, so he's our rival. Sorry, our driver rivalry, and we've come out just ahead of a Renault. You see just a little bit later on at the end of lap 13, we're right behind the Haas of Grosjean, I think it is. So we've closed right up behind him, and absolutely amazing shots there. So it's Gutierrez we're behind here. We swing out from behind him and we get the move done. We're already ahead of him before we even open the DRS, so it should be quite easy. I'm not sure if he's going to pit in, but we're now ahead of him. We have to brake a little bit earlier because once you get the DRS up and you can go flying off that corner, which we we learn a little bit later on. So right behind Carlos Sainz now on lap 15. So these are really important moves because these guys are on a completely different strategy to us now. We have to get the moves on them really quickly. You can see how much more speed than we've got. We are actually in a faster package than these guys now. So even the Williams we've jumped ahead of quite a bit in the championship in the development race, and I think that was probably move of the day there. So we stuck the car up the inside. We weren't intending to, but Carlos was going so slow that we had to stick the car up the inside, and he kind of jumped out of the way and hit himself against the barrier. And then we get straight up behind the Williams. So the Williams is going to have help from that Renault though ahead of it for slipstream and DRS. So it's going to be a little bit of a task for us to pass the Williams on this lap, but we're going to get quite close to him towards the end of the straight. So a second up there, we set our new fastest lap of the race for ourselves, closing right up behind Bottas. We've got a very stable car, as you can see, throughout the lap, and we just haven't got the straight line speed that the Williams has. We put a little bit too much power down, which loses a little bit of time. See, we're all over the back of him, coming through this first sector, into the end of the first sector. It's just it's so tight around here. There's just nowhere to overtake at this part of the track. You can see this overhead of how close we are. And we've actually got Kvyat just or is it Sainz still tailing along behind us. You see how much we close up to them right through this sector. So we've got a bit of fuel spare as well, and now we're behind Bottas on the straight. We should get DRS, which will help us out a little bit, but the Williams has got the Mercedes engine in it, obviously, and it's got so much power. Even with DRS and slipstream, look, we get to 360 or so, I think it is. But we're still struggling. We're doing 364 kilometers an hour and still struggling to pass that Williams. And we lock up and go straight on, which then lets the Williams back through. And Carlos Sainz decides to have a sniff at this one as well. Because we ran wide, he has a look at the inside of us. We take the outside line and we just about get away with it and shut the door on Carlos there for take the position back. But we've got to do all that work again now. It's catching up to the back of Bottas. You see we're right behind him, and we could have passed him into the final corner, but we decided to sit behind him. 1.5 seconds that mistake cost us really that lap, because we ran wide. We lost a lot of time and then had to sit behind Bottas again. So Bottas is on the medium tyres and he's been on them since the start of the race, I think. So you see we actually get past him a little bit easier this time on the inside, but he's still there. And as soon as we pulled out from the slipstream and the DRS, we kind of side by side with him and we can't get any further. And into the first corner, Bottas still trying to hold on and still nearly holding on to position. So that is the difference between us and the Mercedes engine. Is that I'd say about 10 kilometers an hour still in a straight line. So it's quite a big difference on a straight like that. So now we set a fastest lap for ourselves again on lap number 21, 1 minute 44.8. We've got Perez, who's kind of jumped us in the pit stops, and us being held up, he's kind of got ahead a little bit. And Nico Hülkenberg's now 3 seconds behind us. So the cars that seem to be going well in this race are the ones with the Mercedes power, and Hamilton and the Force Indias and the Williams even are going quite well on their strategy. So the Force Indias are going very well, and so the Ferraris though. And I think Perez has retired, hasn't he? Was that Perez retiring? Anyway, that's got another car out of our way. Ricciardo's in third at the minute, just ahead of us. So we're just ticking off the laps in a minute, just going by lap, and kind of just trying to bang in our personal bests while we've still got these super soft tyres and the speed. And I think they're well past their best now because we're on like the 12th lap or so on them, and we're like 1 point something seconds down at this point. So Rosberg obviously had an early pit stop, and he's jumped us as well. He's 15 seconds or so up the road, and Vettel's now behind us. So lap number 28, we're on to our second stop, and this may well be the stop that we may well be going to the end. So we need to really make these tyres last the end, and also make some moves on some people ahead of us. As you can see, as we came out of the pit lane, Hülkenberg has now jumped us in that set of pit stops, and so is Alonso. So Alonso, who will need to pit again, is now ahead of us. As we come to lap 30, you can see our teammate is just ahead of us there. And heading through the first sector still, we've got Alonso still ahead of us. Obviously, we're going to the end, and Alonso may have to pit again, so we'll see how that works out. I think in general we've got a little bit more pace than Fernando, so I think we should be able to get past him pretty quickly. So we're right in this slipstream coming down this straight, and we're very, very close. I think we're going to make the move before even DRS, so we swing out to the outside, and hopefully Fernando's not going to pit because we weren't ahead of him. Now we are. So DRS is open, and that's Bottas again, who still hasn't pitted. So lap 31, and Bottas is still on the same set of tyres he started the race on. So we're going to have to learn from our mistakes from earlier in the race and kind of get the move on Bottas done a little bit more cleanly than we did first time. We can't afford to lose any more time. You can see how much more grip than him we've got. We've got so much more speed. We're all over the back of Bottas here, and we need to make this move pretty quickly. He's just costing us time for this sector, and we need to get past him fast. And you can see Alonso's closed right up to us again. Even though we got past Alonso, he's now, because Bottas is there, he's holding us up, and we need to get past him. So again, we swing around the outside, and we're going to get the move done before the DRS even opens. Now when we open it, we're on the inside, and we're going to make this move stick. Bottas is still with us though, so we can't really go to the right. And finally Fernando has pitted, so lap 32, we've made the move on Bottas stick, but we've still got Hülkenberg in a very quick Force India, and we've run a little bit wide, so we're going to have to fend Bottas off a little bit, but thankfully we had DRS so we could stay ahead of him, and he didn't really challenge us. His tyres are a little bit past their best now, so on to lap 33, and we're 2.9 behind Hülkenberg. We're still setting very quick lap times, but it's just that we haven't really got we haven't got any more pace to give, and we've now got Carlos Sainz, who's back in the race. He's 2.2 seconds back from us. At this point, it's really kind of a case of covering off Carlos Sainz and trying to cover off anybody behind us if we can. But again, we've got a really fast charging Ferrari. I think it's been the story of this season so far, is that we are quite quick early on, obviously with the faster compounds of tyres on, and running rich mix, but it seems like the other teams might not be running that in the early stage of the race, and then as the race goes on, Romain Grosjean is out there. As the race goes on, it seems Ferrari and Mercedes and even Red Bull seem to be able to turn the engine up. Well, especially Ferrari and Mercedes, they seem to be able to turn their engine up and just use that little bit extra pace. We're talking about half a second a lap still to kind of jump ahead of us. So towards the end of the race, they seem to be very, very quick. We can build a little bit of a gap, but then they seem to kind of reel us in towards the end. So at the minute, we've got, I think that's Sebastian Vettel all over the back of us. So let's have a look. You see, he's just all over. He's harrying us down this straight. So it's Kimi Raikkonen who's just behind us, and you see we've gone to the right to kind of keep the race in line. But even if we'd gone to the outside, if we'd gone to the inside, sorry, he still would have had us. He's just got so much more speed. So now we're going to try and cling on to him a little bit, but you can see how quickly he pulls away from us. I think he's even got past Hülkenberg, because this is lap 45, so Raikkonen has kind of raced up behind Hülkenberg and even got past him as well. So the Ferrari package, I mean, around this track, it's such a long track as well. If you've got a great package, then your car is going to show. It's going to show that, and that's exactly what Ferrari and Mercedes are showing right here. So at the minute, we're kind of concentrating on holding off Sainz, and it's lap 48 now. But this is kind of where I really thought, well, hold on, this race isn't over yet, because lap 48, Sebastian Vettel has retired. So have Ferrari and Mercedes been pushing too hard on their engines, because it's such a long straight and a long track, and they seem to have that little bit extra pace. So have they turned their engines up just a little bit too much and pushed too hard down the straights? Because you're obviously on the rev limit for such a long time down here. And there's Sebastian Vettel parked on turn 1, just to the right of turn 1 there. Retired from the race. That's 1 position to us. We're up to 6th place. So are there reliability problems creeping in for Ferrari and Mercedes? Another yellow flag ahead, and green flag's coming out again, but there's a yellow flag flashing up. We're 8 seconds back from Hülkenberg, who looks like he's got this race in the bag. He looks like he's got his position. He looks like he's going to finish ahead of us. We look like we're going to finish ahead of Carlos Sainz. We've got a little bit more extra pace than him. I think that's Verstappen who's now jumped ahead. So Verstappen's up to 7th place. And on the left there, you can see Kimi Raikkonen is slowing down. So that's another position. The Ferrari engine looking very brittle at the minute. Vettel and Raikkonen both out of the race. So we're now ahead of Kimi Raikkonen, up to 5th place. Hülkenberg is 7 seconds ahead. But has something happened with Hülkenberg and Raikkonen, which means that Hülkenberg has to pit in? Because as we come down the straight here, it looks like Hülkenberg and Raikkonen may have come together, because Hülkenberg is now in the pit lane as we come down the main straight. You can see him he just pulls off into the pit garage as we come through the finish line. So German flags are flying, but look in the pit lane there. Hülkenberg is having to pit in for new tyres. So has something happened, or has Hülkenberg had to pit in for another reason? We're now up to 4th place, and we've got Daniel Ricciardo ahead of us. He's well out of reach at the moment, and we've got Verstappen closing in. So we're just concentrating on finishing ahead of Verstappen at this point. But there's only a few corners left to go. We're on lap 51, the final lap of the race, and we've gained 3 positions that we didn't think we were going to gain. So from being in 7th place, we're now up to 4th, and you can see there, Sainz still hasn't given up with Verstappen. He's still fighting, and we're coming through the end of the first sector now, into the second sector. There's more yellow flags, so for some reason there's another yellow flag. Only 6/10 off our fastest lap at this moment. We've still got a little bit of fuel spare, so we're running rich mix. It's not over for us yet. Coming through the middle sector, the middle sector is pretty much just a flat out set of corners. So flat out set of corners with one left-hander, but we're steaming around these final few corners. We have not backed off. The engineer has just come over the radio and told us there seems to be a problem with Rosberg's car, and it seems to be terminal, and he's slowing down, so he's not even going to make it to the finish line. As we come down the main straight, and that radio message has basically told us that Rosberg can't make it to the finish, so he's had to slow right down. So I don't know where his car is, and at this point we're celebrating because we're in 3rd place. We have just passed where Rosberg has obviously exited the race, and we're on the podium. So we've come down this main straight and we've actually finished on the podium, and from being in 7th place with 2 laps to go to end up on the podium, which we just didn't have the pace for it. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable stuff. It was like all of our Christmases came at once, and we finished on the podium in 3rd place. So Lewis Hamilton had too much pace. The Red Bulls had too much pace. But there we are. We're on the podium, and there were just no words on that final lap. The final 2 laps where Vettel retired, then Raikkonen, and then Hülkenberg, and then Rosberg. It was. You have 2 Mercedes-powered cars and 2 Ferrari cars just ending their own races. So this was a result was more than we could have ever have hoped for on this track, which is obviously very much power orientated, and very much we thought we'd really struggle, and we were struggling to 7th place, and then to have 3rd place just basically given to us, then we'll take that all day long. So there we are, celebrating on the podium. Going to get a hug from Lewis Hamilton, Daniel Ricciardo. Happy days for McLaren there. 46 seconds behind Lewis in the end. Fernando finished a couple of seconds back from us. Slightly different strategies between us and Fernando, but obviously a very good result. I think Fernando and Felipe and that were helped out a little bit from the slipstream of the other cars. I think for a lot of the race we were driving in clean air basically, and it's not a good thing on that straight to be driving clean air. It's actually probably better to be following a car for the slipstream reasons, because it can gain you over half a second a lap easily to follow someone on that straight. You can see there we're now up to 5th place, and we're actually reeling in Sebastian Vettel at this point, and obviously Nico Rosberg got no points for that race for not finishing. So we're creeping up on Mercedes and Red Bull and Ferrari a little bit. Obviously not too much, but every race we can bring an upgrade. We've been doing that in this race. Obviously we brought 2 upgrades of the engine and the drag reduction. So I do expect us to kind of go a lot better at Austria. The reason I expect us to go better at the Red Bull Ring is that although it's got straights, and it's quite a few straights, those straights aren't like in the ones in Baku. So obviously the nature of Baku, we kind of had Williams and Force India and getting involved as well. But in Austria the straights aren't as long, so what happens is you're not reaching 350, 360 kph like we were with Dragon, Slipstream and Rich Mix and following another car. In Austria you're reaching more like 320 on the straights, so it's kind of your engine's not having to push that extra little bit, and our engine seems to be kind of catching up to the other guys in that regard. So the track's shorter as well, so I expect us to go a little bit better. But anyway, that's just us showing the rivalry there. I just want to say, if you have enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video if you've obviously enjoyed it. You've been absolutely amazing for watching. I just want to tell you that again, because it does really help me out when you guys hit the like button and when you watch the videos. It kind of really does help me. So you can see there we're just getting an upgrade to the drag again, just reducing the drag even more for Austria. But I'll see you soon in the next video. Thanks for watching.